Here's the steps of the things that happened. Step 1, reporter claimed Rand Paul storms out of an interview. Step 2, other outlets pick up that headline and craft the narrative about Paul's temper. Step 3, left media and left activists spread the narrative as far as possible. Step 4, and this is where conservatives actually get what's going on, conservatives watch the actual footage of the exchange and note that the narrative is completely wrong. Step 5, tweets from actual people present add to the debunking of the temper narrative. Step 6, conservatives spread the debunking as far as possible. And step 7, conservatives mock the media mercilessly. Now that's the progression of things that happen. And what we do is we stop somewhere around step 2 in the cycle. Conservatives don't pay attention. We don't get any other people that support that or look into that. We just stop. We read a headline and we say, that's the story. And Leslie warns against this all the time, that you can't just look at the headline.
Everyone you know hears leftist messaging all day long. All your non-political friends are leftists because that's the message they're hearing. If they're not paying attention to politics, they're getting indoctrinated with leftist politics, because leftist politics are in the sports and the entertainment and the reality TV shows and the entertainment TV shows. Leftist politics is what they are surrounded by all the time, and they don't recognize it as leftist politics. They just recognize that as life. And we have to be the ones to explain to them that they've been surrounded by leftist politics, and we have to counter that.
One of the several stories surrounding Rand Paul is the fact that he was going up against the media and in an interview was asked about abortion carve-outs and abortion. Is this okay? Are you going to what is your stance on abortion? Going through all that.
Yeah, he got the Stephanopoulos question basically, like Stephan was talking about. Stephan and Stephanopoulos. Wait, hold on.
No, they're not the same person. Don't worry. We know. We've checked. So this question was posed to him, and Rand Paul flipped it. I would love to throw this over to Andy, because this is his specialty. He specializes in the leftist flip. So can you sort of do the play-by-play for us, Andy?
Well, basically, they came to him and said, asked him, about his views on abortion rights, and he decided to flip it on them and say, tell you what, because they were looking, he says, everybody's looking at the extremes, the all or nothing. Do you believe all over here, and they're looking at rape and incest and so forth. He says, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to ask Debbie Wasserman Schultz if it's okay to abort a 7-pound unborn child, an unborn baby who's just ready to be born. Or, is that okay? And I want you to get back to me with her answer. And I thought this was very interesting. If you don't mind, I'd like to read. I never do this, but I want to read a quick passage from Scripture, because what Rand Paul was doing is he was taking a tactic that Jesus used, which is simply to put you on offense. Okay, let me read this really quick. Jesus had been doing a bunch of miracles in the area. Okay. And it says here, they arrived in Jerusalem, and while Jesus was walking in the temple courts, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders came to him. By what authority are you doing these things? They asked. And who gave you the authority to do this? Jesus replied, I will ask you one question. Answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I'm doing these. John's baptism, was it from heaven or from men? Tell me. Well, they discussed it amongst themselves and said, if we say from heaven, he'll ask, well, then why didn't you believe it? But if we say from men, we fear the people, for they held John to be a prophet. So they answered Jesus, we don't know. Jesus said, neither will I tell you by what authority I'm doing these things. And so what he did was, he put a question on them and said, you ask this, and then I'll answer that. Now, it's not like Jesus always did that. A lot of times, and it's not like we always do. A lot of times you're going to just be direct and tell people, and you'll answer the question. Here's the key. The times when you don't do that is when the question is a trap, is a purposeful trap. That means they're being dishonest. When you call out a dishonest person and put them on defense, they will inevitably respond poorly. All right. When they're asking a good question and you try to divert and dodge and all this, then they're just going to go more on offense. Then they smell blood in the water. You don't do that. Answer the question. But in this case, they were trying to trap Rand Paul. It was a trap, and so what he did was set the trap for them. It was very good. And what happened next was great, because Debbie Wasserman Schultz doesn't answer the question. Instead, she says, about the 7-pound fetus. She said, I would leave that to the doctor and the mother. In other words, she punted, and Rand Paul came back the next day and responded to that and said, in other words, her answer is yes, you can kill the 7-pound baby. I'll answer that for her, because that is what she's saying. It was brilliant. He killed her, just killed her. And by the way, Rand did us another favor. See, one thing I always love to ask people when they say, well, apolitical people, maybe left-leaning people, when they immediately go for the media spin on a candidate, I always say, I always personalize it so they can feel it. I don't just say, well, the media is biased. Well, they don't understand the bias. It's done too well. So make it personal so they can understand. And I say, don't you hate it when you have a disagreement with someone at work and they own the rumor mill? They know the people in that rumor mill better than you do, and there's nothing you can say, and you're buried. Well, that's kind of what it's like for Rand Paul. He's got a disagreement. The other side owns the rumor mill. But take a listen to what he said. And what I've noticed is that when I personalize it like that, people buy what the media says on someone less.
This is what we do, is we put on our airs of concern as Gwyneth Paltrow, and we say that we are going to understand the poor. You saw it when we did the SNAP Challenge business last year. There were all sorts of celebrities and politicians who said they were going to do it. Nobody really published their results. It was sort of quietly, went away after that.